name is Brittany Harrell, and I am one of the communications managers here at Safe Project. In celebration and in honor of Black History Month, Safe Project is thrilled to bring you guys a new series that we are calling Safe Conversations, the Black Experience. Today, we are joined by the lovely Pastor Marsha Hawkins-Hourd, who is the executive director and founder of Child and Family Empowerment Center in St. Louis, Missouri. She is also a leader in the St. Louis recovery community, and you are the executive pastor of the church, which is amazing. I love that. And we are so grateful to have you here today. Thank you for joining us. Let's jump right on in. Would you mind sharing a little bit about the work that you do in your relationship to recovery?
Very good. Thank you, first of all, for having me, Brittany. It is a big privilege to be able to share my experience in recovery, which is not from a basically substance use disorder standpoint, but for someone with lived experiences from family experiences. So I'm the youngest of 8 children. And substance abuse basically has been around my family since I was a little child. And so never knew, again, that this was definitely not my dream, but it was my call to use my life to help people who face substance use disorders and who desire to recover their whole lives. So for the last, 20 years, this is what I have dedicated my life to, helping people more so in the St. Louis metropolitan area. Our organization, Child and Family Empowerment Center, is the outreach arm of our church. And so we have contracts with the Department of Mental Health. We provide a level 3 outpatient treatment. We are certified recovery support service providers, where we provide recovery housing to about 50 women in Missouri. We also do recovery support services such as recovery support groups, peer coaching, transportation services, family reunification services, and of such. And we also have a recovery community center called Life Recovery Community Center, where it's a drop-in center where people can come and enjoy NAAA type classes or groups or whatever. We have food available all day long, coffee, bottled water, a pool, cards, ping pong, puzzles, whatever you feel like you want to do just to get away from the hustle and bustle of life in a safe place. That's what our Life Recovery Community Center offers. So again, we're just here for the recovery community in any capacity that we can play, and we collaborate and partner with all the other great organizations in the St. Louis region to get that recovery-oriented system of care that our consumers deserve.
I want to talk a little bit about the complexities that Black people are facing when it comes to substance use disorder. Are you seeing the disparity in treatment and just in general how Black people are treated when it comes to substance use and mental disorders?
I do see it. And what I see more than anything, the excuses or the reasons that people use substances and they come to depend on them, they look at the reasons. I'm going to say the reasons that people use. They're not accepted as reasons for so many people in the Black community. Mm-hmm. They're looked at as excuses.
Right.
Rather than reasons. And there are reasons that people have substance use disorders. I mean, there are traumas, and all that stuff that's the foundation of their use that's really not accepted. And then, of course, just the whole their lack of knowledge and understanding about their own substance use disorder. That's a big deal. The health, lack of health care services in the Black community, and even all the way down to mere transportation and technology. So they're saying, oh, we're using Zoom now. Well, who has a cell phone? Or if I did, it didn't stay on but 2 days there. I may have sold it to get another hit, or,
Mhm.
didn't have a job to pay the bill, whatever the case may
Mhm.
be. So that still creates that lack of services, that gap in services for those with substance use disorder.
So on that note, how are you working to bridge that gap and to get those resources to communities in need, specifically the Black community?
So, unfortunately, in the St. Louis metropolitan area, especially North St. Louis County, the overdose deaths due to this opiate epidemic they're just, you know, unbelievably horrible. I mean, the numbers continue to grow. So the effort to bring, to take our services to them is what we're trying to do. We're trying to create hubs in the communities where people are, instead of expecting them to come to us when they have no transportation and many times no motivation. We're going to them.
Mhm.
So again, we relocated our office right in this part of North St. Louis City for that reason, so that they can get to us. We have an outreach person who goes out and reach out to them, going where they are in places that some people would never even think of going.
Think are some of the biggest obstacles right now facing the Black community when it comes to substance use disorder and mental health disorders?
Um, of course, and then this is everywhere. First of all, it's just ignorance, right? Just a lack of education, lack of knowledge, lack of truth, which causes the stigma, right? The
Right.
families don't understand, they don't know.
Hmm.
And so, of course, they begin to label,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying, which causes isolation, which causes, further escalation. So when I have
Absolutely.
nobody else, I'm going to go to my familiar space where those who are doing the same thing I'm doing. And now I'm going deeper down that hole of despair, addiction, and unfortunately, death.
One of the things that came out of the pandemic is that we really looked at mental health a little differently. I think this was the first time, that I can remember that, we all were kind of going through the same thing at the same time. We all kind of
Mhm.
had that uncertainty. We all know people who either, you lost people in your family, or you were affected
Yes,
one way or
yes,
another. And I have noticed, the conversation has gotten a bit more global, and or a bit more spread out in our community, which is an amazing thing. I hate that it took a pandemic for those
right.
doors to start opening, but and in the same sense, I'm glad that those doors are starting to open, and those conversations are slowly but surely starting, to be had. For some people it's easier, and for some families it's easier to have those conversations than it is others. But again, that does go back to stigma. I
Mhm,
think,
mhm.
for many of us in the Black community, there, especially Black women, there's this expectation that we have to be strong,
Yes,
all the time. We carry the weight of our families on our backs, and we're supposed to do that and not be like, oh, my back is hurting. Oh, what you mean
right,
your back is
right,
hurting, girl?
right, right,
No,
right.
ma'am, we don't
That's
have
right.
time for that. Just to move the conversation further, um, what advice do you have for others who are trying to reach the Black community and just aren't getting there, or or just not even sure where or how to start? I think you touched on it a little bit earlier, but if you wouldn't mind, just some advice for people who are just trying, and or trying to uh break down that stigma. Do you have any advice for that?
Don't pretend to know. That's the first thing. So the way to serve a person is to ask them, to find out what they want.
Mhm.
And so the first conversations need to be with those that you serve, that you plan to serve, right?
Absolutely.
That is where it starts. We sit at our desk and we make these great plans about, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that and all of these things, but we fail to include those who we're going to serve in the planning.
That part. Absolutely.
Yes.
Mhm.
So it is important to, again, don't just call me to the table, let me go in the kitchen. Do you understand? I need to
Oh,
be able to prepare the meal. And so we fell in, and this is not just there, this is everywhere. We do this all the time as professionals. We never include, we fail to include those we plan to serve. And we think because we got all the initials behind our names that we have all the answers, right?
mhm.
But I don't have all the answers, right? Because
Absolutely.
I don't even understand your need. I don't even know. So it's important to, again, bring them in the kitchen with us, so to speak, when we're starting to prepare the meals and gather the ingredients and all of that. We need to know what temperature to cook it on, right? You
Exactly.
hear me?
Right.
You
I
know
hear
what I'm
you.
saying?
You
Yeah.
preach it now. You preach it.
Okay. Okay.
All right, Pastor Marsha. I hear you.
Yeah. So that's what, that's my first thing, is that, again, find bring people in who you're going to serve as a part of the planning. Um, don't pretend that you know. It's important to really admit what you don't know, because you can do more harm pretending to know
Mhm.
than you could ever imagine.
Absolutely.
Right? So seek education, seek what you need to really make your program uh effective for those you're going to serve. Right? Don't just
Absolutely.
pretend. Don't go through the motions at all. Just make sure, just do it, be intentional, in other words, right? In
Mhm.
what you're going to do. These are people's lives here, and their children are connected, and their husbands and wives and mothers and fathers are connected. So everything that we do every day, from the gate, has to be intentional, well thought out, and inclusive of those we're going to serve.
One thing that Safe Project really, really tries to do, and when we decide we want to work with a specific community, is we don't necessarily want to start at the top. We don't want to start with the mayor, or, no, I want to
Hmm.
start with the people who are boots on the
That's
ground,
it.
who are doing this work every day. They are
Every day.
down in the
Yes.
nitty gritty.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think that is where a lot of people tend to mess up, where they are like, well, if we go through the city council, it's like, okay, well, if you're waiting on city council to get some things done, you're going to be waiting a long time. How about
Exactly.
flip it and start with
Hmm.
the people
Hmm.
who are actually doing the work? Thank you so, so much for
Welcome.
joining us. Is there any last words that you have? Anything?
Yeah, I just want to say, even to the recovery community, I pray that, you share this with the recovery community, that you're not alone, that there are so many resources out there available, that we're willing to come to you. We're not without judgment, without, any expectation, you know, we're here to listen to you, and anything that we can do to help you, we're here.